Nigeria's maternal mortality crisis is a profound human rights issue that demands urgent attention. In 2023, the country accounted for nearly 30% of global maternal deaths, with an estimated 75,000 women losing their lives during pregnancy and childbirth. This staggering figure underscores a systemic failure in healthcare delivery and a pressing need for accountability. Maternal deaths in Nigeria are primarily caused by preventable conditions such as postpartum hemorrhage, obstructed labor, hypertensive disorders, and unsafe abortions. In 2021, Nigeria had just 121,000 midwives for a population exceeding 218 million, significantly below the required number to meet global standards. Cultural beliefs and practices also contribute to the crisis. In some communities, traditional birth attendants who may lack proper training assist in deliveries. Despite constitutional guarantees of the right to life and adequate health care, there is a lack of legal recourse when the state fails to provide essential maternal services. Now, Professor Uchenna Emelonye, human rights lawyer, joins us now for a discussion on Nigeria's maternal mortality crisis and the silence around accountability. She will be unpacking why Nigeria leads the world in maternal death and what legal reforms are urgently needed. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us, Professor.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
Well, you have rightly distinguished between maternal death not being just a healthcare issue. You said that it is a human rights violation. Could you help us unpack that as a human rights lawyer?
I think I want to commiserate with every woman that has passed in the course of giving birth, every relative of a woman, or every relative of a child that has lost his or her life in the birthing process. And this death is unacceptable. And most importantly, it is preventable. And because it's preventable, then the state bears grave responsibility for preventing it. Institutions bear great responsibilities for preventing it. And as society at large bears responsibility to speak out that the rate at which Nigerian women and girls die giving birth is unacceptable. If you look at the statistics, which is not mine, and which is not meant to embarrass the government, but rather to present the issues on the table, just last 2024, Nigeria accounted for 39% of the global deaths. So apparently it means in real figures, if 100 women died globally, 39 of them died in Nigeria. And that figure is worrying. That figure is, a statistic that should wake up the government to action. In your introduction, you mentioned the cause or one of the causes of maternal death, which is hemorrhage. It's preventable through an injection and through adequate care and through facilities that are available on the ground. And generally, from the point of rights to health, rights to life, every woman giving birth deserves to live. And allowing a Nigerian woman go through a birthing process, knowing the complications and the implications involved without adequate preparation, it's tantamount to allowing people die. It's tantamount to government intentional allowance of dangers that hover on the necks of women in this process. And secondly, you may have also mentioned the issues relating to capacity of our healthcare facilities. Unfortunately, most of the deaths happen at the primary health facilities, which apparently is over 30,000 in Nigeria. So there are 30,000 facilities where women are supposed to go give birth. But the records from the Ministry of Health also stipulates that 80% of these primary health facilities are not functional. Escalated to the secondary healthcare, which is the teaching hospitals or the government hospitals. Any woman that makes it at that level is privileged. And that is also an issue that if you look at the cost of running the secondary healthcare facility in Nigeria versus the cost of the primary healthcare, it's tantamount to one healthcare budget of a state general hospital is equal to the hundreds and 1,000 primary healthcare facilities in the same state. So it's also looking at where the dangers lie most. The dangers in maternal deaths in Nigeria lie at the municipal level, which is at the primary health facility, and addressing it requires government to pay attention to this particular area. On the point of also looking at it from the issue of right, these women deserve to live. Apparently, and I understand that the Minister of Health has taken it as a health emergency. It is not just a health emergency. It's a human right imperative. They have a right to live. They deserve to live. And if they are not living, then the government should pay attention to it as well.
Very good, Professor. Now, what legal reforms can help reduce maternal deaths in Nigeria? And what will be the role of the National Assembly as well, the legislative arm, in being more proactive in this quest to reduce maternal mortality crisis in Nigeria?
I think before I came on air, I have had colleagues who are agitating for state creation, for it to be make the list in the next constitutional amendment. There are more important things without undermining the importance of that. Today, self-motherhood is not a constitutional right. Unlike in other countries, particularly as close as Nigeria, which is Ghana, where self-motherhood is a requirement of the Constitution, the provision of the Constitution, where women are protected giving birth, where women are protected after giving birth. In the case of Nigeria, it does not exist. So looking at a legislative framework, it is that framework that escalates this issue to a constitutional level. And secondly, relates to the issue of accountability. Nothing happens, and once nothing happens is impunity. The level of impunity in maternal deaths in Nigeria is staggering. Somebody should be accountable for this violation, for this death. The state should be accountable. Institutions should be accountable. Medical practitioners should also be accountable for deaths that are preventable. People should be able to answer. We should have an audit that examines what are the causes of the deaths arising from maternal health in Nigeria. And by so doing, institutions and health practitioners will be accountable. And ultimately, this accountability will reduce the number that we have today. Statistically says that the greatest risk a woman runs in Nigeria is getting pregnant. More women die out of pregnancy in this country than any other issue, be it terrorism, be it accident. More women die every day, and the number, it's over 250 daily. My fellow Nigerians, I think that number should wake up this country to do something more drastic for dealing with this issue. I understand that there's been instances where it's categorized as health emergency. It is not health emergency alone. It's a human right imperative. And because it's a human right imperative, there are so many other considerations that are involved. Geography. Where a woman dies is likely to be in remote areas. A woman has a chance to survive in Lagos, then it will have a chance to survive in my village. That's an issue. Another issue is capacity. A rich woman is likely to deliver safely than a poor woman. And all these socio-economic issues are considerations that not only a legal framework, we don't only need a legal framework, we need the capacity, we need a change, we need a paradigm shift that also empowers women. Women should be able to dictate the number and the spacing of their pregnancies. Women should be able to go into the controversial issue, which is controversial everywhere in the world, whether women should be able to decide whether to keep a pregnancy or not. These considerations should be on the table to enable women who go through the birthing process in Nigeria to live and to participate in the decisions that make them live after delivery.
A very worrisome trend there, as you just painted that vivid picture to us. But you've advocated for the NHRC, that's the National Human Rights Commission, to file lawsuits against state actors for systemic health neglect. Does the NHRC currently have the legal mandate and capacity to do this?
You know, as lawyers, there's always this issue in litigation, which is locus standi, your right to complain. I'm not sure a deceased husband does not have a right to complain about the death of the wife. Absolutely, I'm not sure about that. I don't know why the court should claim that it doesn't have a standing. I'm not sure how a family, next of kin of a woman, should not be able to complain for a reckless death of the woman. But this level of judicial opinion, judicial decision on this matter needs to be interrogated. If you look at the statistics of the cases that come before the court, our courts veer into technicalities and dismiss the matter on technical grounds and not necessarily on the subject of the matter. So we are looking at a possibility where a class action, a public interest litigation can be initiated on behalf of these women. And the authority that can do that at the national level is the National Human Rights Commission. So far, the National Human Rights Commission of Nigeria has not litigated on this matter. So far, the National Human Rights Commission has not presented an amicus brief, which is a brief as a friend of the court, to enable the court make a determination on whether it is right, just, and justifiable for Nigerian women to die in pregnancies, particularly for avoidable causes and cases.
Indeed, on that note, we've been speaking with Professor Uchenna Emelonye. He's a human rights lawyer, and we've been talking about Nigeria's maternal mortality crisis and, of course, the issue of silence on the matter. It's good to have you with us.